Good evening, I'm Adventure Argonaut. This is the Golden News. Oops, I have the wrong image. I'm supposed to start with this one. Okay, this is the Golden News, and we will talk about news like you saw a sneak preview. But first, let's see that my streams are working, and I apologize for starting a bit later than usual. Or, like, if the time is better for you, then I don't know, you're welcome. Let's just see that the streams are working. I think everything is functional. Yes, okay. Everything seems just fine. So without further ado, let's go to here. So the Canada elections. No, wait, no, this one. Canada elections. I guess it's not that exciting, but let's have a quick look. So apparently the Liberals winning won or are winning. I guess it's not technically a done deal yet, but like the Liberal Party seems to be working bigly. One argument I heard that the reason why the Conservatives are not doing well, even though I don't think the Trudeau was that popular, so that should have reduced people's image of the Liberal Party or something, but that the Conservatives, like, their platform was sort of some anti-Trump stuff instead of focusing on Canada or something. But anyway, do they have Jack Shin? Oh no, he's stepping down as the leader of the left-leaning New Democrat Party. So horrible. What's the This article sucks. I just want to see um the like the charts basically. Okay, live results. That's good. Yeah, so here is okay. So it's not over yet. So theoretically, the Conservatives could pull it back, I guess. But yeah, the Liberals, they have like 22 seats more, I guess. Yeah. But my 2 cents on this whole thing is that, well, for like certainly I would generally speaking, I would prefer the Conservative Party to the Liberal Party in most countries, but it's not like it would mean that the Conservatives, had were they to win, they would. It doesn't mean they would necessarily make things much better or anything. Like, that's usually how it works. There's one party, or like one political direction, you might say, that makes things bad faster, and then the other party, the opposite party, just sort of makes things go down the toilet a bit slower. That's usually how it works. But I already like remember the previous Canada election when Trudeau won. That was a big upset, and there were some at least had suspicions of voting irregularities and stuff like that. And it just like doesn't really matter at this point. Like, Canada definitely won't be fixed with elections. Maybe some other kind of approach have to be taken if Canadians want to fix their country. But like, yeah, so the fact that Trudeau won like 4 years ago or whenever that was, either it means that there were irregularities that helped him win, or the Canadian and the majority of the Canadian people are so clueless they actually voted Trudeau in for the third time or whatever time that was. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the Canada elections. May God have mercy on their souls. And then there's the India Pakistan conflict, some sort of. Um, I'm not quite sure what even started all of it. Like there was some border skirmish or something, and I think some people died. And yeah, here it says flooding starts in Pakistan after India unexpectedly releases water in the Jhelum River without prior notification. Locals worry that the situations could get much worse if the water keeps flowing from India. Didn't they cut the water to Pakistan first? And it's like, wait, I thought they stopped the water. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. And but why do Indians have the power to do so? Because I understand, in Israel and Israel could do that in Gaza because Gaza is not an actual country in the de facto sense, at least right now. So they lack many basic things. But I thought Pakistan could at least acquire their own water, but I guess not. And yeah, FBI chief Kash Patel offer full support to India. So unless this is like a fake article or a fake picture of a fake article, there's like he's the U.S. FBI chief. Why? I wonder why would he be so care so much about India? What is it with these countries that start with I? Like if you're Americans, and then they seem to care more about countries that start with an I instead of their own country, supposedly, because he's a red-blooded American, right? It's like I don't know, like maybe there these nasty racists who say that a nation is only like should be somewhat racially homogeneous. Maybe they have a point, like if this is this guy's priority, that instead of thinking that it's his role as a US official to be more diplomatic or something, like even if his um, private leanings are on India's side, maybe he shouldn't make statements like that. But here, Mossad commander, is this like actual? I guess this isn't like official Mossad, but hey, they say God bless India, stay strong. So I guess I support Pakistan now. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I, it seems like there's not like full blown war right now between India and Pakistan. It's like it's a tense situation that could get worse, but it's not really there yet. So I don't know. I have to keep checking the toilets. Let's just move on. Okay, so this is the corporations. Certain corporations want to shut off your internet if you are caught pirating stuff, which is completely insane unless I misunderstanding something. So major news: Universal Music Group, UMG, and Capitol Records are suing to get ISPs to stop providing internet access to users who pirate music. This lawsuit, if successful, could go on impact to other forms of piracy, such as gaming, manga, anime, and much more. Sony owners of Aniplex and Crunchyroll have publicly supported harsher piracy policies, including suspending internet access. Um, ISPs could start, so this is internet service providers. They could start cutting off users based on unproven complaints. That includes people watching unlicensed anime episodes or reading manga online without permission. Just imagine, like you hear, like, oh, there's this new anime, and oh, I wanna, there's free rent. I've heard this good, and then you're just like, okay, you go to Google, watch a free rent online, and then it's like, okay, then you just click there, like, okay, let's watch it, and then I don't know, 15 minutes later, you get a notice from your ISP like, sorry, you've been caught pirating, and maybe you didn't even know that it was a pirate site or something, because there's many sites that are easy to find like that. And anyways, then you can't use internet at all. Not simply banned from that site or anything like that. And this is of course like unless I'm misunderstanding something, it's completely insane. And the audacity that these corporations even have to suggest something like that is really, to say, displeases me. Because like it's not that people use internet only for watching like playing games or watching TV or any stuff like that. They have to use it for banking, for government stuff, like paying your bills. Nowadays you pretty much have to use the internet for stuff like that. Because I remember back in the day that you know 20 years ago or something, I used to pay my like rent and stuff with some ATM machine thingy at the supermarket. But then at some point it's like they stopped using them, and it was like you could only use the internet at home or wherever to pay the bills. And of course I was pissed, but at least I got used to it. And now if you're caught pirating or even allegedly pirating, and then they might shut off your internet. So yeah, it's let's see. So yeah, if this goes any further, you might permanently get your internet access blocked if your ISP detects you watching pirated content. This is bad news not for anime fans but the entire internet if this continues. Blacklisting your internet permanently over anime piracy. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's different news. But it's just so yeah, this is completely insane. It just makes me think that the old school action movies like this level of corporate overreach. That's the phrase I want to use every now and then, because you've heard of like government overreach, but this is corporate overreach. Like these corporations, they have to be destroyed. They should not even have the like, because somebody might just dismiss this news that say like, oh, it's not likely to happen, it's going to violate your basic rights. And that's hopefully that's the case, like that it won't, they won't enact these laws or anything. But clearly if these corporations are like trying to push for these bills or lawsuits and stuff, clearly they believe there's a chance it could go in their favor. So, and I don't think we should even give them, like we shouldn't give them any like leeway in stuff like this, because this is like it goes beyond like cutting the arm from a thief, because at least there's like for one, piracy is not stealing, and it's like it's more like, I don't know, you steal a loaf of bread from the store and then they burn your house. This is sort of like that. It's not the most elegant analogy, but at least it's somewhat accurate in my opinion. But yeah, this corporate overreach, like it just makes me think of like the old school action movies where the movie ends and everything is fine again when the protagonist shoots the bad guy. And like then all this artsy fancy pants people criticize it for being juvenile, and that's not how it works. But it's like it just makes me feel like maybe sometimes we need to just shoot the bad guys. Don't try to talk to them. Don't try to, I don't know, go to your government to ask them for advice and stuff. Like just talking about movies, of course. Anyways, let's move on. This is really alarming, unless unless these people are exaggerating the news or misunderstanding or something. But it's still alarming. Like the why would you care? Like you shouldn't have any like corporations pushing for any laws, anyways. I don't know. It's like it's clearly they do it for their own benefit, not because they care about truth and justice and all that stuff. So, anyways, 4chan is back from the dead. It was out for a couple of weeks, but now it's functional. I don't know like how much has changed. Like I assume they've updated because 4chan was hacked and lots of the Chinese information was leaked and crap like that. But yeah, I don't know how much has changed except presumably some security measures. But yeah, there's this statement they put out. I haven't actually read this. Oh fuck! Can I? Yeah, it doesn't help if I try to. Um, if I try to scale like zoom in, I mean like doesn't make it. Okay, maybe I should. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe I'll download it. Let's see. Uh, just gonna download it somewhere so onto my computer so I can read it bit more like easily and stuff. It's I don't know, like it doesn't make sense. Like for Twitter, this isn't the first time that I've suffered from something like that. That you cannot see really like dense text. But okay, now it's on my com- computer, like the file and stuff. So let's read it from there that I can like I could see it, but it's painful to read that small text. Okay. Still standing on the afternoon of April 14th, a hacker using UK IP address exploited an out-of-date software package on one of 4chan servers via bogus PDF upload. PDF where so pedo upload. With this entry point, they were eventually able to gain access to one of 4chan's servers, including database access and access to our administrative dashboard. The hackers spent several hours exfiltrating database tables and much of 4chan's source code. When they had finished downloading what they wanted, they began to vandalize 4chan, at which point moderators became aware and 4chan servers were halted, preventing further access. Over the following days, 4chan's development team surveyed the damage, which, to be frank, was catastrophic. While not all of our servers were breached, the most important one was, and it was due to simply not updating old operating systems and code in a timely fashion. Okay. I don't know, it just sounds retarded. Ultimately, this problem was caused by having insufficient. Of course, the other problem might be that you update it too frequently and then the updates fucks things up. Anyways, ultimately, this problem was caused by having insufficient skilled man-hours available to update our code and infrastructure and being starved of money for years by advertisers, payment providers, and service providers who had succumbed to external pressure campaigns. Okay, what happened now? Like, did they get somebody to fund them, like, the, let's say the Qatari princess or something? We had begun a process of specing new servers in late 2023. As many have suspected, until that time, 4chan had been running on a set of servers purchased secondhand by Mood a few weeks before his final Q&A. As prior to then, we simply were not in a financial position to consider such a large purchase. Advertisers and payment providers willing to work with 4chan are rare, and are quickly pressured by activists into canceling their services. Putting together the money for new equipment took nearly a decade. In April 2024, we had agreed on specs and began looking for possible suppliers. Money is always tight for us, and few companies were willing to sell us servers. So actually buying the hardware wasn't a trivial problem. We managed to finalize purchase in time in June and had the new servers racked and online in July. Over the next few months, we slowly moved functionality onto the new servers, but we still been relying on old servers for key functions. Everything about this process took much longer than intended, which is a recurring theme in this debacle. The free time that 4chan's development team had available to dedicate to 4chan was insufficient to update our software and infrastructure fast enough, and our luck ran out. However, we have not been idle during our nearly 2 weeks of downtime. The server that was breached has been replaced with the operating system and code updated to the latest versions. PDF uploads have been temporarily disabled on those boards that supported them, but they will be back in the near future. One slow but much beloved board F Flash will not be returning, however, as there is no realistic way to prevent similar exploits using uh, SWF files. We are bringing on additional volunteer developers to help keep up with the workload, and our team of volunteer janitors and moderators remain united despite grievous violations some have suffered to their personal privacy. 4chan is back. Now the website can replace it or this community, no matter how hard it is, we are not giving up. But yeah, I'm still not quite sure, like, to what extent, like, because there were allegations about, some of the Chinese using .edu or gov emails, but supposedly the gov emails were fake news. So, like, did the government actually directly or indirectly influence or control 4chan? I still don't really know. I haven't seen any, like, solid evidence. But anyways, let's move on. So an Epstein accuser suicided. So it's Jeffrey. What was her name? Yeah, it sounds like Jeffrey. Virginia Jeffrey, I guess her name. So yeah, Jeffrey Epstein abuse survivor and Prince Andrew accuser. I was okay. So she was sorry, but she was an accuser of Prince Andrew, not Epstein. Or I guess it's probably was determined in court that he was guilty of abusing her or something. But anyway, she died by suicide in quotation marks. Um, so yes, Jeffrey Epstein accuser. Okay, here it is. She's an accuser of Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Giuffre previously said, "In no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. Too many evil people want to see me quiet. Today, her death was ruled as suicide." So yeah, I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. See, here is a typo. So now the people that killed her, they can act like, see, that she didn't say that she's not suicidal. She was suicidal, so it doesn't mean the same thing. So that's why she actually committed suicide, right? Anyways, I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. Yeah. So yeah, this girl, like, this is a famous picture. I've seen this picture so many times, but I didn't know her name was Virginia Jeffrey. Rest in peace and all that. So yeah, even Matt Gates said, "Imagine believing this was actually suicide." Matt Gates, who I guess now he is not um, an actual politician. Like, didn't he, like, quit his position as in Congress or wherever he was? Like, he was supposed to become the AG, and then he didn't become the AG suddenly, and then he just quit. So I don't know. It says Florida man. That's funny. But just to, as the usual reminder, the fact that the Epstein files still haven't been released, and nobody, like the Epstein clients, haven't been arrested or anything like that, it sort of implicates pretty much everybody in the US government and many other governments across the world, because they just, pretending like the issue doesn't exist, hoping it will go away and stuff. Like, they are complicit either. Whether they really, do want to expose this stuff, but and they're scared, or maybe they are, maybe they're blackmailed, maybe there's some skeletons in their closet that, if they were to stir this hornet's nest, then those skeletons would come tumbling out or something like that, but it just does implicate pretty much, everybody. And yeah, so here, breaking Jeffrey Epstein accused of Virginia Giuffre has died by suicide, her family says. She posted this on March 31st. So this year has been the worst start of a new year, but I won't bore anyone with the details. But I think it important to know that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers as we were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might well as be a tin can. I've gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to leave, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes: shit in one hand and wish in the other. My guarantee is still going to be shit at the end of the day. Thank you for all for being the wonderful people of the world, for being great part of my life. God bless you and XX Virginia. So wait, she was in a car accident and she died, but then how about the suicide? Like this is sort of, if this is true, okay, it's sort of, yeah, this. Ah, wait, okay, this is from like 2019, so this is an old. Okay. Ah. Oh yeah, yeah. Here it says okay. That's I guess so. She was in a car accident, whether it was an actual accident or not, you can decide. But okay, so I guess she was in pain. But like, okay, it's still weird. So if this is the latest, this was like a month ago, and she died. Like, she died just a few days ago. I don't like here she says that they gave her 4 days to live. So surely she just wasted away, or were her pain so horrible that she chose to commit suicide instead of dying naturally, if you can call it natural, like suffering from a car crash. So yeah, it sounds even more sus. Like it's I very well might be missing some important details here, but yeah, uh, let's just say I suspect foul play. Okay, is there anything else? Yeah, Virginia Giuffre's suspicious death raises the question: why is the U.S. government still withholding the Epstein documents? Transparency now. Yeah, well, it's obvious they're withholding them because large part of the U.S. government is somehow part of the network of blackmail and all that Epstein represented. Okay, but let's move on to the next bit. Israel delenda est. Israel has to be destroyed, the political entity, and all that, yada yada yada. I do this every week. This bit. So, what do we have here? Spain cancelled the 6.6 million euro arms deal with an Israeli company to honor its pledge to hold weapons sales amid the Gaza war. Israel cried out, accusing Madrid of putting politics over security and standing on the wrong side of history against the Jewish state. Based Spain, the spirit of Isabel is strong in Spain for doing this, and of Torquemada. Like, yeah, don't take the 30 pieces of silver. This is like some magazine from 1996. So the Jewish magazine for the 90s movement. I assume this is an actual magazine and not like some AI generated image. Strength from converts, the real borders of Eretz Israel, how to preserve Shabbat light, great music for Jewish kids. I don't know. It seems like a meme or something. So yeah, Jews run Hollywood. So what? So yeah, here Devon Stack is saying Jews were extremely confident in the 90s. They didn't worry about noticing because Everyone was so blue pilled they could just brag about their power openly and nobody batted an eye. I guess that's why they were so comfortable doing 9/11. I'm not saying I agree with everything he said or even most of it, but interesting comments. And here it says, Syrian girl says Iran has been hit by a terrorist attack on an oil airport in Bandar Abbas. 500 people are injured. Israel was responsible for the port blast in Lebanon. This is a smaller attack, but they are usual suspects. Yeah, usual suspects. I will agree with that. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean they are the guilty party, but yeah, it's a good start, I guess, if you want to look into it. And then this is Forward, Jewish independent non-profit, some magazine. Will the or newspaper, whatever it is, will the next pope be good for the Jews? Look at a few of the front runners and their statements on the anti-Semitism, Israel, and theology. So yeah, Sam Parker says the only question that seems to matter anymore or anything is whether something will benefit them. Like yeah, it's weird to me. Like do Buddhists or Taoists or Yoruba religion from Africa, though the followers of these religions and their magazines and stuff, do they write about like will the next pope be good for Yoruba or Buddhism or Tengri, like the Mongol religion? I don't know if anybody actually believes in that anymore. Probably some, but it's just weird. Like why is it? Do Christians say or Buddhists say when I don't know some high rabbi is chosen the position like will this be good for Buddhists or Christians? Or if they were to say it, they would be accused of all sorts of nasty stuff. Uh, but yeah, here President Trump tells Netanyahu that Israel needs to be good to Gaza and help stop the suffering. Well, that's a good thing. Of course, like you can interpret this to mean a few different things. But if he's genuinely saying that, that's good. I don't want to play the clip or anything, but yeah. And here is Israel is reportedly offering Gazans $5,000 a job, housing, and a monthly salary to permanently leave Gaza for countries like France, Greece, or Malaysia. See, if I were a Frenchman or a Greek man or a Malay man, I would say that this is an act of war from Israel. Like, sure, for Gazans, I guess it's better to have money and a job than to be killed in Gaza. But then again, they're being kicked out of their homes. So, anyways, in return, they must give up their Palestinian ID, surrender their land, and forfeit any right of return. Wait, surrender their land? So that sounds like a steal, quite literally. Like basically, if the land costs only like they give $5,000, that's not so much for land. Um, yeah, but this is usual stuff from Israel and very nasty business. And just to point out, yes, Israel does is let's say one of the players behind Islamic mass immigration into Europe. That's undeniable. Like it's not talked that about that often, but that's how things are, unfortunately. But let us move on. I like the AI picture. I was shocked that the AI actually was willing to make a guillotine. And the reason why it's a guillotine comes later, when we get to the gaming section. But anyways, so Terminator is becoming reality. So researchers at Seoul National University in South Korea have created a liquid particle composite called a particle armored liquid robot, and can deform, engulf, and merge without losing its structural integrity, enabling it to perform functions that are difficult for rigid bots. So this is T1000 from Terminator 2. If, if this is real. And now it looks like, it's just a really small robot, but like, if they develop this technology, I don't know. Maybe Sarah Connor was right because she wanted to go assassinate. Uh, I forgot the scientist's name, but anyways, the guy who was, in Terminator 2 was supposedly the inventor of Skynet, and she wanted to kill him before he did that. So, like, maybe she was onto something. So I'm gonna say, and yeah, this is of course that everybody who's seen Terminator 2 thought of when they saw this video. Well, somebody said the Blob. I think I've seen this movie. Hey, Agent Double Hertz, welcome. Yeah, I have to catch up on the news later. Yeah, well, I started today's stream later too. Yeah, but Terminator, like, there's many different aspects of Terminator are becoming reality soon, but in a less cool way probably than in the movie. But let's move on. What do we have next? Judge in U.S. wants non-citizens to vote and is blocking a law and blah blah blah. So just this is so insane. Like a report, Trump's executive order that allows only American citizens to vote in U.S. elections gets blocked by federal judge. Like this is so insane that it's it even says that like this. Like how about like just hold elections that the one okay just the guy with the most ballots wins, but like you can just write like you can bring a truckload of ballots there and shove them into that voting box and stuff. Or like why not give more votes like if the ballot is nicely colored or if the name is written bigger, like you vote for Trump or Biden and they're like flashy hologram letters or something, like that has to be worth 3 votes compared to like regular ballot where there's only a ballpoint pen or whatever. like uh, how can a judge do this, because it's like, isn't it um inherent to any democracy that like only citizens are allowed to vote, except okay, like even in Finland there is an exception, because in municipal elections foreigners may be able to vote. Like if a foreigner, a non-citizen of Finland, lived in a city for how many years is it, 3, 5, 7, I don't remember, like then they might be able to vote in the local elections, in the municipal elections, not in like that they cannot vote for the government, for the parliament or anything like that. And I guess that that makes sense. I think you can make an argument to say that no, you should never allow foreigners to vote, and in this case you could, but I don't think that's what the judge is talking about here. Oh, where did I screwed up? Well, anyways, let's move on to the next thingy. I just have to find my link here. Oh, is it? Oh, this one. This one. I think I found it. Yes, I found my lost link. So Schwab is being investigated, supposedly. Klaus Schwab, the former head of World Economic Forum, he just resigned basically the same day that the Pope died. Whether it's coincidental or not, I don't know. So yeah, Klaus Schwab under investigated for financial misconduct days after stepping down as World Economic Forum chairman. So WEF launches investigation into founder Klaus Schwab. Move comes after Schwab and his wife Hilde were reportedly accused of financial and ethical misconduct, which they deny. The World Economic Forum has launched an investigation into its founder, Klaus Schwab, after whistleblowers reportedly accused him of manipulating research using company funds to pay for private massages, not messages, and asking junior staff to withdraw thousands of dollars on his behalf. The allegations reportedly sent last week in letter to the WEF, which organizes annual gathering of economic leaders at Davos in Switzerland, accused Schwab and his wife Hilde of financial and ethical misconduct, which the family has denied. The accusations prompted Schwab's resignation as the WEF executive chair on Monday after its board of high-profile trustees, which includes the BlackRock chief Larry Fink, the IMF managing director Kristalina Georgieva, the former U.S. Vice President Al Gore, and cellist Yo-Yo Ma held an emergency meeting to look into the claims on Sunday. So Schwab, 87, is said to have argued against the board's plan for an investigation before he resigned. His founder had indicated he intended to step down in early April, but the whistleblower letter brought forward his exit. I don't know, like it just sounds like sure I can believe he was corrupt and stuff, but like sounds like some internal power play, like the bad guys are fighting or who can be the biggest bad guy or something, or I don't know, maybe it's some like sort of like a play for our benefit. Just I don't know, like will the next CEO be any more moral? I doubt it. If these allegations are true, well, he is a bad guy, but I don't know if these particular crimes of his are true. Um, but yeah, it's only the World Economic Forum that's investigating him, and not like the police or anything. At least so far. I don't know. Interesting, but I just thought that for years that WEF is a bit too on the nose. Like people are always comparing them to Bond villains and stuff like that. It's like too obvious. Like, look, these guys are the bad guys, so they sort of act as a distraction. Like, I'm not saying they aren't bad guys and they don't that they don't do bad stuff, but I'd say there are other organizations who aren't as well known as WEF that do even more, let's say, international scheming. And then the UK is paying landlords to house immigrants. So here, UK government offers landlords 5-year rental contracts to house illegal immigrants funded by British taxpayers. Like, just just asking a question: why hasn't any British citizens taken a spork and gone to visit their government to ask a few pertinent questions with a sharpened spork in hand? And then there's another thing from Britain. UK scientists are about to attempt to dim the sun. The project will see a scientist attempt to reduce sunlight and as a result the temperature of the Earth. British scientists could experiment with techniques to block sunlight as part of a 50 million pound government funded scheme to combat global warming. The geoengineering project is set to be given go ahead within weeks and could see scientists explore techniques including launching clouds of reflecting particles into the atmosphere using seawater sprays to make clouds brighter. Another method involves thinning natural cirrus clouds, which acts as heat-trapping blankets. So okay, like there's few things about this. Like for one, so as to combat global warming, let's just say that I am not that convinced that about the scientific accuracy behind claims of global warming, like man-made global warming. And hey, here is global warming. It's not called climate change, so at least that's something. It's more accurate because climate change could mean anything basically. Like a donkey farts and the methane or whatever heats the air for like 1 degree Celsius, and oh no, that's climate change. Anyways, so yeah, climate change, let's say questionable, and geoengineering. So I thought geoengineering was a conspiracy theorist. I mean theory, but apparently it's not. And and do they have any idea, like assuming that it's successful or has any effect on the climate of the Earth or the temperature, like what kind of unforeseen side effects it might have, or maybe foreseen side effects that they really want to happen, like um, the COVID grandpa John Campbell made a video about this as well, and he pointed out like it you know plants need sunlight, or basically food, food production, or all kinds of food production things, they need sunlight, and if there's less sunlight, then there might be less food, and so they want to control. He sort of suggested that maybe they want to control the food supply of England and the rest of the world. And of course, like yeah, and he also said that nobody asked him for his consent into this matter. Like they didn't ask the British citizens like him, or the rest of us who are not British. Like how this might affect the rest of the world. Like even if they do it in on British soil or something, but stuff like this might have longer, bigger effects. So this is why I'm saying maybe we should just nuke UK now before their Mr. Burns schemes go too far, because this is literally an episode of The Simpsons when Mr. Burns, the evil capitalist Rothschild lookalike, wanted to blot out the sun with this sort of fan thingy. So yeah, this is just insane that this stuff is going on. Like either they're just sort of playing around and none of it will matter, or they aren't. But anyways, this is insane that the government is doing this sort of stuff, and also that most people probably have no clue about it, or like they hear about it and say, yeah, whatever, what's on Netflix tonight. Like this sort of stuff theoretically could be worse than Terminators or Skynet. But let us move on from the UK to Germany. So yeah, there's just this isn't really news or anything, but there's this old cathedral. So yeah, a reminder: this cathedral took 632 years to complete. That's longer than the US has existed for. It's like twice, or is it almost three times the amount? Yeah, so it's Cologne or Köln Cathedral. The main reason, well, it looks pretty nice. Looks quite 40K once again. But why I think it's significant, because I think there's also like some cathedral or church in Spain that maybe it's still unfinished, but they've been building it for a few centuries, or maybe they finished it already. I'm not sure. But like sometimes there are people acting incredulous, like saying like, well, they're doing something bad that might end up killing a lot of people, or like let's see this global global conspirators. Like that's not like an exaggeration or inaccurate. Like even people like Klaus Schwab and there's bunch of people like this. They do conspire, and conspiring just meaning doing something immoral or illegal in secret when two or more people are doing it behind closed doors. Basically, it's a conspiracy. So there are conspiracies. Maybe it's not like aliens and on the moon or anything like that, but people do conspire and have done so. Just look at the death of Julius Caesar. It was a conspiracy that killed him. But anyway, so yeah, so there are conspirators, and there's conspirators. There's conspiracies, and they are enacted by conspirators, and and sometimes people are incredulous. Like, why would they do something like this? Like uh, stuff that affects that they don't like, if they want to bring out the let's say the new world order that some people popular conspiracy theory, at least when I was a bit younger. Maybe it's old news now, but like, why would somebody want to enact something like that? Because it will happen long before they are dead. But like, these people, well, maybe the people who started building it this 600 years ago, they thought maybe they would live to see it finished, but maybe they didn't. And like, this just points out that some people, unlike the Hylics, like the people who only care about filling their belly and getting entertainment and hosting beaches and stuff. Like some people care whether they are good guys or bad guys. They care about their legacy, and they want to leave something to the world, and they believe in bigger things than their immediate social acceptance and money and stuff like that. So yeah, some people want to build cathedrals and to glorify God or whatever, and some people want to enact, I don't know, global police states to control humanity, or whatever it is, or whatever scheme of Satan they have, that they want, I don't know, all of humanity to be enslaved to Satan, or whatever their ultimate goal is. So I just this is something I've been it's been knowing me for many years, because I've heard these arguments. But like some people, they still care, even though they know they won't live to see the end results of whatever they are building, and they're fine with it because they believe in something greater. But anyways, let's move on to gaming and entertainment news. So there's Discord is selling out. So yeah, I'm they is going public, so becoming like a traded company or whatever. So after a decade of as founder and CEO, says Jason Citron is passing the torch. We're excited to welcome Human Sakini as our new CEO. This is like, sounds like some robot or something. Hello, I am fellow human. My name is Human. I know it's Human, but it's a silly name. And it just means like of course Discord wasn't perfect before, but it's been mostly functional. But it's probably gonna start going downhill fast, as long as the new CEO gets his claws on Discord and how it's gonna be. And this is of course gaming news, because only gamers use Discord, otherwise you are banned from it. Yeah, Discord confirms it's moving toward becoming a public company, as it hires a former Activision executive as this new CEO. So yeah, Activision, yay, great news. I guess should gradually start looking at alternatives to Discord. I use it with my friends. Okay, and then we go to Oblivion, the Oblivion remake. I guess I should say the compulsory stuff and the out of the way first. Like I genuinely don't understand like why so many gamers, because I think it sold millions or something, or at least it has 4 million players. Of course, many of these are from like the Xbox Pass, whatever it's called. I don't know. I don't use it because personally I don't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me because it's an old game. Like either you're a fan of the old game and you love the old game, or you are not. Um, or maybe you haven't played the old game, so why would you suddenly care about it when they make the remake? Because but apparently it's successful, and it's good for Bethesda. Like if they made a good business decision and it's like a functional game and it's not a complete buggy mess or anything like that, yeah, it's good for Bethesda in that sense. But of course, I don't really care about their what is good or bad for them. But I just don't, as a gamer, understand this logic. Like I'm just thinking, like, of course there are probably some people that, okay, I've been thinking maybe I should replay Oblivion. I loved it back then, and now that they're making a remake, I guess I can play it again. Maybe that's the logic for some. Like personally, I didn't like Oblivion back in the day. Like I'm not saying you're not allowed to like it, but I thought it was boring and messed around with mods a bit. Yeah, it was fun for a while, and then tried to play it properly, and I was walking in a forest. I encountered a wolf, and the wolf aggroed straight into me instead of like I just felt like so immersion breaking because it was clearly a mob in an computer RPG instead of like moving like an actual wolf would, and that was just like this sucks. But anyways, so yeah, I don't understand what, because there are so many games around like now. Like, well, why do people have to gravitate towards the few games that everybody's talking about? Like, is it just because they don't really care about the games? They just want to, it's part of virtue signaling. Like, if 50 or 100 years ago people would go to the church on Sunday to show everybody, like, look, I'm a completely normal and generic person, whereas nowadays they say on Twitter that yes, I watched the latest movie or TV show or played the latest game that everybody's talking about. Anyways, let's get to the news. So Nexus Mods decides to allow Oblivion Remastered mod that changes body type options to a male-female, declares it's not a battleground for broader cultural or political debate. So yeah, because in the Oblivion remake, unlike in the original Oblivion, in the original, when you made a character, it was male and female, the sex, but in the remake, it's body type 1 and 2 or something. And that's all the reason for me, even if I was interested in the game, that I would not buy it, because, and it's not like it even emotionally offends me. It's more like, no, I will not give money to this Marxist propaganda. But anyway, so they made somebody made a mod on Nexus Mods to revert it back the way it used to be. But then Nexus mods banned the mod, but now they're apparently allowing it again. And yeah, this guy is saying, Revenant, Nexus mods caved on Oblivion's body type mod, and you're saying the vibe shift isn't real. Well, they fail to note the point that, well, Bethesda still has the body type 1 and 2 in the game. Like, when will we see AAA companies roll back on all this woke bullshit? Yeah, I asked, did Bethesda cave on it? And this guy's a Count Chocola's top guy. I think I've seen him before. Name seems a bit familiar. Anyway, he says, my understanding is that Epic Games insist on gender neutral language, so if you use Unreal Engine, their property, part of their licensing agreement is to do this. It's the fault of these companies wanting to outsource labor to Indians, which is why they use Unreal Engine. Not sure if this is true, but it's like makes sense at least. And yeah, this is one issue, that lots of games nowadays are using Unreal Engine because the programmers are incompetent and they don't know how to make their own engines, because back in the day it was normal for different games to make their own engine, but not nowadays. But let's see what else. And so yeah, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered Deluxe upgrade, and it includes, of course, horse armor. So once again, unless this is some meme, but yeah, they once again are charging extra for horse armor, the same as the original, and that's all the reason for me to hate Oblivion, because it really heralded, grandfathered in, as they say, this whole um, DLC monetary exploitation techniques crap. And yeah, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is once again offering paid horse armor as DLC. Beautiful. Yes, give Bethesda all your money. Like, hey, if you really wanna play the game, just put on an eye patch and a peg leg instead or something. But this is at least sort of cool. So Sky Oblivion, there's some modders who were making Oblivion to be in Skyrim, or is it like the game would have like both Skyrim and Oblivion in the same game basically, but whatever it is. But it seems that Bethesda gave the mod team keys to the new Oblivion remake for free. So at least that's genuinely something I appreciate. That instead of trying to shut it down, they are sort of rewarding the people. Like, of course, it is a kick in their knees, since they've been working on this mod for, I think, a decade or something. Um, and then suddenly the Oblivion remake comes along, making this mod less relevant. But yeah, but it's still cool to give them the keys, the game keys. And here it says, new Oblivion update just broke the game. No anti-aliasing and upscaling technique and game stuttering don't update. Okay. So yeah, just updating can be a bitch. And thoughts on new Oblivion lighting. So color is now verboten. So yeah, I guess this is the. Why is it smaller here? Like, it's bigger here. It's like fucking Twitter sucks with images. But anyway, so this is the old one, very nice and colorful, and this is like very depressing and stuff. It's like, yeah. And hey, you can totally make an argument that this dark grim mood is better for some games, and it is. But clearly, if the original is very magic, almost, yeah, sort of Candylandish, then they should at least try to stick to it. Like, of course, maybe the time of day is different. Like, is it like sun is setting here or something, and this might be midday, so that might be part of the reason. But yeah, then there's this meme, 2003, this duck dick face. And yeah, there's, yeah, this is certainly, like, it's not just Oblivion. Like, most games, AAA crap is turning dark when it doesn't have to be. And yeah, and this, so it's 120 gigabytes for the Oblivion game remaster. So why remaster a game from 4 gigabytes game to 120 gigabytes? Are compression and optimization lost technology now? I think they are. They don't really care. Maybe they even have a deal with, like, hardware um, or hard drive developers, that oh, they always have to be buying bigger and bigger hard drives. Like, 120 gigabytes isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things, but it is quite a lot, especially, like, and of course, and I understand that the remake is gonna take more space than the original, but I don't know, let's say 40 gigabytes. That would be quite a big increase already, but yeah, I think it's too much. And if the developers really cared, they wouldn't take so much space. And this is about the body type stuff again, instead of male female. So what's this? What happened to male and female? Who cares? It's not a big deal. Okay, then, friendo, I make a mod that brings them back. No, ban, ban, ban. Exactly. Like they say, it's not a big deal. And I think it is a big deal. Like, sure, like if you play the game, it probably doesn't really affect the enjoyment of it all. But it is the communist propaganda aspect, or not communist, but Marxist, cultural Marxist propaganda aspect. It's like you are giving them money for this propaganda, for this manipulation of trying to subvert society, and that's not something you should do unless you agree with the message. You should not be giving them money. It's simple as that. And this is explicitly political propaganda. And no, especially since the original didn't have it. You could say it's a different story if it was a new IP, but it's an old game where they just changed something that already was there into something cultural Marxist. And yeah, like here, gaming industry is evolving backwards. Well, exactly like, yeah, Oblivion, male, female, Morrowind, changed sex, and Skyrim sex, and here is body type, type 1 and type 2. Like, it's insane that, 20 years ago, nobody even considered that there's anything wrong. Like, okay, maybe there were like two people who thought, like, oh, shouldn't you be able to be a hermaphrodite or something? But the vast majority of people, they saw no issue with normal, human sexes. But nowadays it's an issue because it's certain, let's say, NGOs and governmental organizations have been pushing this propaganda for over a decade now. That's the only reason why this is a thing. This is it's social engineering. And yeah, Oblivion. Okay, this is a bullshit argument. Oblivion remaster wasn't even advertised, and there are lots of players. But it's not true that it wasn't advertised. There was no traditional advertisement campaign, but it was certainly advertised on Twitter and I presume other social media, probably on Reddit and stuff. People were rumoring about it, that there's gonna be the Oblivion remaster and it's gonna come out and blah blah blah. And some of the people who were talking about it, they were probably paid or somehow incentivized to promote it. So there was an advertisement campaign, but it was a smart one, and it seemed to work. But it was it wasn't just organically everybody was talking about it. Was this? It has begun. The no big deal crowd is now calling Nexus mods unhinged racist ad sets for allowing MF mods for Oblivion remaster, so male female mods, I guess. So yeah, I think the bigger issue is this. So they dropped it because now Nexus mods is allowing the mod to bring back male and female. So it says they dropped it after banning Chinese translation for having symbols for male female because it was part of OG translation for China, which caused Chinese users to drop their premiums. At this point, I see Nexus as unhinged racist asshats. So, like, this sounds like reasonable explanation, and then how is it unhinged racist if they are like just caving into Chinese money, like most corporations seem to do. Okay, modders bring back original lighting in Oblivion remastered. So yeah, it's much. I don't know, like this filter is like vomit pea soup filter or something. Like, why do this? Why? Like, is there like some BlackRock agenda saying like everything has to look dark and dreary and dismal, otherwise people might have positive thoughts, and we can't have that. Like, I'm not saying it looks terrible like with that, but it looks nicer with more color. especially if it's more faithful to the original. So what's this? Vice Anavalence is Oblivion remastered 2. Wow, right-wing gamers are trying to mod out this feature. They think a less inclusive design decision would actually improve sales. This is sort of individual that asks, why do you care? And calls you a Nazi online for wanting to restore male-female in the character creation of a remaster to a 20-year-old game. So, yeah. Well, it's not really woke, just that one feature, but it's more like it's the principle of it that you shouldn't give them money for stuff like that, because I think it's just means like either you're ignorant that the game has this, or is poor impulse control, like, oh, must consume product, especially like you should at least wait a couple of years. It's gonna be half price of 75% off or something. So yeah, this is just about Nexus mods ending their culture war and allowing the stuff. I don't want to read all that. I already discussed it. And here's DEG mods saying that they seem to be allowing a lot of these mods that have been censored on Nexus mods. I've never used their site because I haven't really used mods recently in anything. So, but I should remember the site when I actually want to play something that I want to mod. But okay, let's move from Oblivion to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So it sold 1 million copies at least already. And I do think it looks interesting, but there are some things that I don't like. But, and overall, I am curious to play it one day, probably. So yeah, they're saying we are currently the top reviewed game on Metacritic for 2025. Speechless, so many incredible games have been released this year. Well, it doesn't really matter what the fuck Metacritic says. Like, okay, it means it's not garbage usually. Like, if it's a complete buggy mess garbage, then no. But I guess it's good for them. It does seem interesting and a decent game, but there are some aspects that I find a bit questionable, and also some people promoting it. So yeah, this game Clair Obscur is now the highest rated game of 2025 and one of the highest rated games of all the time. I guess it means on Metacritic, because yeah, highest rated by what or whom. Okay, well, there's one critique. This is a minor one, at least. I don't know how much this bothers in the game or not, but this guy is saying, so I'm taking time today to illustrate the whole Expedition 33 situation with a couple of memes. I hope this promotes clearer understanding and facilitates productive discussions. Here's the first one. So, Paris during the La Belle Epoque. So, this is like the era in France from like late 19th century, early 20th century, so 100, years ago. And then is Paris, according to Belle Epoque, inspired to Expedition 33. So I guess it means because there's a bunch of, let's say, diversity here. But of course, like, this is just inspired. It's not like if they actually made an, historically so-called accurate Belle Epoque game and forced diversity, then it would really bother me. But this is like, it is sort of questionable. It sounds too American because this is a French game, like the guillotine. But so yeah, so I don't know like overall how much of this is there, but yeah, it bothered me still, like decade before wokeness or anything was a thing. When I played Morrowind, I remember it's like, of course, diversity wasn't really used in that context either, but like it felt too American to me because there were like all sorts of diversity in this sort of medieval fantasy world. So in that sense, I do share his concern, and it wasn't simply about people of African origin, but like it felt too American because, like, if it's any kind of historical setting, pretty much all countries used to be fairly homogeneous, and only like if you're California suffering from Californication, then you have to add forced diversity. But anyways, this guy is saying, George Torch is saying, I originally didn't go on a crusade against Expedition 33 because it's a new IP, the devs didn't hijack an existing one, and certainly is in the Concord where even robots featured pronouns. It's not a remaster where Type A, Type B nonsense was injected, blah blah blah. It's a new studio and hasn't sold its soul to globalist entities like Embracer Group. Kepler Interactive, its publisher, is owned by a group of independent game devs behind the games like Sifu. It's not doomed. The Dark Ages were a feminist company like Microsoft is diluting an existing brand by appealing to Pedro Pascal, Disney Marvel audience. It's not a composing games or Obsidian once revered studios that have been corrupted beyond redemption by DEI and feminist initiatives sponsored by Microsoft. However, the tone of DEI inclusions in the game is antagonistic towards French and European identity. I can't continue spreading a coherent message if I don't call it out. Many won't agree with this, but we can't keep tolerating every single disrespect of Western identity in the form of alternative worlds. If you want to do an alternative world, don't use La Tour Eiffel or L'Arc de Triomphe as your setting, only to turn into South of Midnight. Expedition 33 is no better in that regard than Wokeslop from Bridgeton. Bridgerton. The game is beautiful, its art direction is breathtaking, it is definitely a promising future for Western development, but the sneaky DI pandering ruins the experience. DI destroys everything. Western gaming deserves respect, European history deserves respect, Western civilization deserves respect. I agree with this stuff, but I don't know whether he is exaggerating the problem when it comes to Expedition 33 as he calls it. I prefer to call it Clair Obscur, but I don't know which is like the main title. So yeah, there are plenty of people criticizing this guy, and saying he's a grifter and stuff, and probably to a certain extent, but he's also onto something. Anyways, here, okay, this is another my issue is with some of these people. So this guy says, yeah, I can already see this becoming my favorite turn-based combat system. Real-time mechanics genuinely make so much sense to have rather than just watching animations happening between turns. So my favorite turn-based combat system, not completely turn-based. This is like, I don't think this looks so great to me. Like, I'm not saying it looks bad or anything, but yeah, it's too flashy. I prefer old school Final Fantasy kind of stuff, and these quick time events like other, this has been called a JRPG even though it's French. But some JRPGs have this sort of mechanics as well, and they're not the worst thing ever, but definitely not my go-to. So yeah, this guy trying to sell the game to me is just makes it not seem so appealing. But despite this guy, I'm still intrigued and interested in the game. And yeah, here's so people have been supposedly gaslighting Final Fantasy fans. Fans have been gaslit that no one wants turn-based combat. That will never sell. But yeah, now this is selling. But it's not completely turn-based. But yeah, certainly, the recent Final Fantasy games aren't turn based, and that's one reason why I haven't played it. The last Final Fantasy I played was 12, and that was also like a single player MMO. Like it wasn't bad, but step in the wrong direction. So yeah, turn based RPGs I like. Yes, more of them. Actual turn based without these, any quick time events. That's even better. And this is like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was made by 30 people and cost $50 and looks like this absolutely insane. So what's so great about this? Like, okay, it does look like a AAA game, and okay, the diversity is sort of standing out. Like, I'd really like a French game, and and yeah, it's like contemporary France has lots of black people, but if it's more like historical, it's not so many. But anyways, it's like it has the same sort of depressing lack of color, like something like that, and like this. See, it's so brown and depressing looking. It's like, why can't you have color? I think this game would look much nicer with, like, some colorful filter instead of this shit filter. But anyways, this guy says, sometimes you start a game and you just know it's going to be peak from the opening minutes. Clair Obscur 30 Expedition 33 is definitely one of those games. How on earth did a team of 30 developers make this? It's like, I don't. This sounds like, a page shield. He probably isn't, but like, like all he's saying, like, I like this game, and like, do real people talk like this? Because I'm gonna assume he's not, paid to advertise the game. That it's more like he's trying to gain his virtue signaling. He's trying to say like, oh, I like this new popular product, so please pay attention to me. I like me too. And it's just, I don't know. He disgusts me. Not the game itself, like, but he's like the. But it's easy, like, it's easy to associate the game with people like these, and it's like, ugh. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but just the way he speaks, it rubs me the wrong way. It's bad. Okay. And okay, then we have Gamergate 3 is some people are trying to brew a Gamergate 3. So John Del Aros, he's being called a grifter. I know. I've watched like one YouTube video of him and I thought it was boring, so I can't even say, like, wasn't really, I lost interest in it, so I can't really say if I agree or disagree with what he said there. But anyways, Gamergate 2 failed because they called wokeness not woke if it was popular. Well, this is accurate. Yes, like the some God of War game or the with the anger Boda, turned into a black female, and or like, the gay scenes and Mansa Musa in Kingdom Come 2, all that. Like this statement is factual. It's time we start Gamergate 3 and make it explicitly right wing because otherwise it will turn to shit. Are you in? Well, this sounds cringe, especially I wouldn't join this guy in the Gamergate 3 or anything, but I can agree with his basic sentiment that I don't know, more like have standards. Because, like, Mr. Metaker, or maybe he was still internet aristocrat back then, he said that, the original Gamergate failed because the Gamergaters, didn't just keep attacking. Like, he said that all they had to do is keep attacking, but no, they started to placate the stuff. Like, no, I'm not sexist, I'm not racist, I'm not homophobic. And then, it lost all momentum and fizzled out. Anyways, then George Torch is responding. Gamergate 1 was gamers versus feminism, ended with Witcher 3. I don't know why it ended with Witcher 3. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. GG2 was libertarian in nature, sparked by the SBI controversy. It fractured around Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and ended with Oblivion Remaster's launch, I guess. Because nobody, vast majority of people said they just, like, whatever, it has body type 1, body type 2, like, you can mod it out, but yeah, you're still giving them money for a body type game. And GG3 is conservative in nature. Guess what, it'll never end. It sounds like either wishful thinking or, that they want to be known as the leaders. So, but, like, I do think these two people, like, they have accrued a lot of hate for these comments. So, like, I do think they are onto something, but certainly personally I wouldn't, want them as figureheads of any movement I join or anything like that. Or, well, I don't usually join movements. Try to stay clear, even though I might be interested in following where they develop and stuff. So yeah, it's here. Packer Girl is calling them woke right, grifting tourist JDIs. His butt buddy George want to launch explicitly right wing GG3. So I guess, yeah, this is some leftist. So yeah, I would rather, join a conservative Gamergate, that, well, one that actually has consistent values, like, because lot of these people don't care, like, just like this guy said, John Del Aros, he's completely right when he says Gamergate 2 failed because they called wokeness not woke if it was popular. That's he hit the nail on the head. Kudos to him for that. Like, no argument there. But these, and I even commented something that was it here or somewhere else that like, okay, did they say? Can you point out what they said was wrong? And nobody really pointed out. They were just ad hominem. Like these guys are bad guys. They're grifters, whatever. Maybe they are. But if even if uh, you should attack the message, not the messenger, and all that stuff. But bunch of these people don't seem to care because they want their cozy fence to sit on, and don't go too far either way because rocking the boat, the boat on the fence is bad. Okay, and so yeah. Anyways, let's move on. Ubisoft game faces 79 million pound fine as privacy experts uncover hidden data harvesting. Yeah, I'm glad I haven't played any Ubisoft game in almost a decade. So Ubisoft says you don't own the games you buy, forces you to an always online connection when you play single player games, and on top of it all, they still have the audacity to illegally harvest your data. How can anyone possibly defend this without being paid to do so? So yeah, wait, they have to pay a fine, but how about like can they? Shouldn't they have to compensate the victims whose data has been harvested illegally? Like how they should determine how they've been affected negatively, like maybe their data has been given to some nefarious groups, or the emotional pain of finding out that they've been harvesting your data. Now I sort of regret that they haven't probably harvested my data, because then I could sue them or something, because I don't have that money or that kind of money or anything. But yeah, it's nice to hear when Ubisoft is burning to the ground. That's good news. So yeah, the same news here. Ubisoft caught spying on users in Assassin's Creed and other games. Fined 104 million USD. So I guess that's the USD equivalent of 79 million pound. Okay. Mandatory online connections may be banned from them. Well, that would be good. But how about just a death penalty for like that's one thing I advocated some time ago. Corporate death penalty. Like okay, Ubisoft hasn't murdered anybody as far as I know, but like let's say one argument I've used before. Like let's say a hypothetical company. Let's call it miser, does something that causes people to lose their lives. And since corporations are artificial persons, and persons can earn the death penalty in certain countries, why wouldn't we do the same to corporations? Right? So, yeah, like, or maybe send Ubisoft to jail because Ubisoft is a corporation, it's an artificial person, and it's done something spying on people like this. They should be sent to jail and they shouldn't be able to work and sell their wares, right? They are corporations are people too, right? Okay, so then we have the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders sold out worldwide. How? Well, it doesn't surprise me because there are scalpers, there are fanboys, and there are simply slaves who have no impulse control. Alas, that is the company you keep when you're a gamer, because a bunch of people they don't have pride or anything. Like they don't care that the company spits in your face as long as they give you something shiny to dangle in front of you. So much for the problem with the price. 30 minutes after release, Amazon gone, Walmart gone, Target gone, Best Buy gone, GameStop gone. Is the Nintendo Switch 2 that popular? Is it scalpers? Is it manufactured scarcity? Scarcity. It might be manufactured, but I do think it's partially scalpers. But I just think some people they have more money than common sense, and I wouldn't shed a tears if if people who think that $500 for because I find it offensive, like stuff Nintendo has been doing in recent years and months, like, and they don't care and they just willing to throw away their money for small upgrade to the original Switch, like. So I won't shed any tears if people with that money, if they, I don't know, there's a communist revolution and they lose all the money or something. It's like, yeah, you clearly don't know how to use the money responsibly. And here it says Mario Kart World USA it costs $80 and Mexico is $100. If these prices are accurate, is why, because here it points out how the average income in US is 4,500 per month, and in Mexico it's only like a bit under $600. So yeah, it's almost 20% of monthly income, and it's only like 0.17 of monthly income for the average person. Yeah, so it's, I don't know. Why is it so much more expensive in Mexico? Is it because there's more piracy or something? I don't know. And okay, then Pedro Pascal calls J.K. Rowling a heinous loser after she celebrated the UK Supreme Court ruling which defined a woman based on biological sex. Like, is he retarded? He doesn't know what the definition of a loser is because she's a winner. She won. She wanted this ruling to happen. So, he should call her a heinous winner, right? Like, Pedro Pascal is just fucking stupid, apparently. Okay, and this is the last. This is just a ending joke. So they are making a Netflix version of this anime Kakegurui. I think I haven't seen it, but I do recognize the anime. Like every now and then I browse the browse online to see which anime to watch next, and then it's like, oh, maybe I should watch this, but I haven't gotten around to it. But so yeah, this is the original, and then the Japanese live action, and what the fuck is this Ham Beast? Netflix. And yeah, this okay. She's not blonde in the. She's blonde in the anime, but not in the Japanese live action. But I guess that makes sense since Japanese. If she has to dye her hair blonde, it looks weird. But what is this? Like some Maori? Is she gonna do a haka, the dance? And this guy, this is just classic Netflix. Yeah, and there's this manga, anime, J drama, and Netflix. Like, didn't they have money to buy a mask like this? So they just used some random COVID mask. This is a joke. Okay, that was the last one. Yeah, these are just some accurate, accidental clicks. Okay, but that's it for this week. It was a fucking long episode and started so late. So I don't know. Let's hope that, I don't know, the moon explodes or something. Something fun happens. I don't know. I don't have anything to say except I'm at Adventure Argonaut. Thank you for watching and bye bye.